Hello, Betty Croswick here. First, I want to send my blessings to all of the people um, who are out there guarding Fairy Creek and pitting their bodies, their flesh and blood against machines and the entire force of the judicial law in British Columbia. It takes a lot of guts, actually, really, to do that, and I salute them. I especially am interested in the people who, when they are brought before the judge, will plead and not guilty, because it is only with this plea that one can actually get before a judge who, by law, by custom, is to pretend at least to hear what you have to say, your reasons for doing what you have done. And at the very least, what you say at this point will be part of the court record. And so you will at least have the satisfaction of knowing that what you felt, believed, did on that day will be forever enshrined in the record of British Columbia. However, um, be that as it may, for the ones who do sign and those who don't, thank you very much. You're wonderful people. Um, but I want to introduce to you a kind of a new angle that has not actually, I don't believe, been tried before the court before. Excuse me, I'm probably very wrong about this because I didn't listen or hear or wasn't in court at time, and a lot of the appeals that sprang from the Clackamas Sound and Elo and Eagle Ridge Bluffs. There's no way I could hear everybody's plea. However, this morning I remembered this podcast I heard from our very own British Columbian, Dr. Suzanne Samard. She's a professor of forest ecology at British Columbia. And I played her podcast again this morning and was uh, so taken with it that I thought, anybody who pleads not guilty in this present blockade at Ferry Creek uh, may be able to subpoena this a professor of forestry, Dr. Suzanne Samard, because what she has to say is just so incredible. And she says that the forest, the trees in a forest are social beings. They speak to each other in ways that we don't see or hear or even comprehend, because we don't look closely enough. But that um, the trees speak to each other of danger, of amounts um, of new trees that need nourishment or need water or need something for their growth. They also speak of a mother tree, which is usually the hub of the conversation, where the other trees uh, comment on things at large. And she talked about how the Douglas fir beetles, that these trees that were so damaging the Douglas fir, sent warning signals to the ponderosa pine, who were standing nearby. And the ponderosas, through this message, had a chance to um, work up their enzymes that could refute the beetles from their territory. So we see that these communications are so incredibly important between the trees. And a lot of this has to do with this fungi that latches itself onto the bottoms of the ground, on the bottoms of the trees, and burrows itself into uh, the tree roots and acts as a kind of, she didn't, Dr. Smart didn't say this, but it's what occurred to me, is that it acts like the electricity that gets this stuff going, because this fungi accelerates the um, the communication systems, which again, Dr. Samard says is similar to the connections in the human brain that keeps these things going and in good repair, and they go deep into the ground and they're into the roots. And this is such an amazing thing about the forest. I want everybody, if they can, and it's not very long, to listen to the podcast or just read her text. And I will have the podcast address below. If you will look at it, it will give you the sense of the complete encompassing of how our forests nourish the world. Um, but it also triggered uh, um, a film that I saw. It was a news film, and it was from RT, but it was about the way they are fighting the fires in certain parts of Russia, because this fungi, as we are told, goes deep into the ground to the roots, and the fungi catches fire when the tree is afire, and it burrows down to the roots. So it is burning, these big fires are burning underground. Now, at least from the RT explanation of how they are fighting the fires, I got a better sense of what they think and what they are doing, that they are very aware of this fungi and why they put out one fire and another pops up over there, because it's the the roots are burning, the underground is burning, and they have to put out the Russians are putting out each little individual fire. Everybody carries a 10-gallon thing of water on their back, and they have a cylinder about this long that they put it right down in that fire, that little bubble of fire that has come up, and squirt that out. That is extremely labor intensive. I mean, they can't keep up. They can't keep up, but they are not exactly saying this, but demonstrating that this is the only way to keep these fires, once they become all encompassing in an area, from spreading, is through uh, this firefighting in the underground, where the roots are, where the fungus is, where they try to preserve themselves, and will come up at 10 feet away or 5 feet away or 2 feet away, and another fire burst coming up just up out of the ground. So, you know, this uh, is turned into a world encompassing uh, danger of burning up the world unless he finds some way to battle these underground fires. But at least the Russians are talking about it, are demonstrating it, that they go around with these little tanks. And um, but British Columbia is going to have to come to grips with this too. Instead, do you hear anybody talking about it? I don't. I haven't. So let's talk about it. And I would and I would beseech the people who, if any, plead not guilty and get a chance to speak to the judge, maybe you could subpoena Dr. Samard if she wouldn't just come on request. Then maybe she would sort of have to be subpoenaed. Her job is at stake. And if she would come and just tell the judge what she has told the world or tried to tell the world in her podcast, actually that was uh, just on May the 4th, so uh, of this year. So it's relatively recent, and maybe bring up what the roots do, what this fungi does, and how it is affecting the firefighting all over the world. So, with that, I will say thank you very much, and God bless the people at Fairy Creek and the indigenous people at Fairy Creek, both sides, and bless the uh, young pretty young people in particular because they are fighting for a life, any kind of a life itself, really. So thank you. Next time. Bye.